Okay, now we should have a different color highlighter. We're going to have a different color highlighter this time. Okay. Okay, so we're going to read our article again called We Need Water. We read it once. We summarized. We highlighted the important information. This time we're going to read it again, but we're going to look for a couple different things. We're going to talk about how the text is organized. Remember when we were learning about communities, urban, suburban, rural? And we were reading information about urban community, suburban community. Remember? Okay. And we did our double bubble map. What did we do with those two different communities? Remember what we used the double bubble map for? Grace? To compare them. Okay, because we were reading something that was organized by comparing and contrasting two things, giving us information about both of those things. Okay? This time, we have an article that's organized a little different. I see there's steps. This is what happens first. This is what happens next in the water cycle. Okay, so this says sequential. That means sequence. It's in order of how something happens. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about that. So turn it to the first page. The other thing we're going to be looking for is author's craft. Just like when we read stories, narrative stories and fiction stories, we talk about how the author uses good word choice, sometimes voice, right? The author does those things on purpose. Authors do things on purpose when they write nonfiction stories too. Okay, so we're going to look for some of those things. So the first thing we're going to highlight is the title. We read the title the first time we read it, but we didn't highlight it. This time we're going to highlight it. So highlight the title. Highlight the title. What's the title, everybody?
We need water.
We need water. Okay, so paragraph 1, and remember, we read this the first time. We're going to read it again because we're looking at it with different eyes this time. We're looking for different things this time. So we're going to read it again. Paragraph 1, every living thing needs water to live. People need clean, fresh water for drinking, washing, and having fun. How do you use water? Okay, highlight the question the author asks at the end of the paragraph. Highlight the question the author asks at the end of the paragraph. Give me a thumbs up when you found it and highlighted it. Let's see who's still looking. Highlight the question the author asks at the end of that paragraph. Haley, what's the question the author asks us?
How do you use water?
How do you use water? Why do you think the author asks us a question? Why do you think the author is asking us a question here? It's our first paragraph, the introduction. Elena?
Is this what the paragraph is about?
Okay, so that's the paragraph where the article is going to be about. Good. Very good. Parker?
What's the question?
Okay. Any other thoughts why you think the author might ask us a question here? Aziz?
He's trying to explain how do you use water? Like if you drink it, wash your hands with it, use it for cleaning.
Okay, so the author is getting us to think about how we use water. You know how we talk about making a text to self connection to what we read? The author is kind of helping us do that right now. To get us thinking about how we use water and making a connection to what we're going to read about water in this article. Very good. Okay, so we're going to move on to paragraph number 2. Water is found, before I read that paragraph, I have a subheading above that paragraph. This is another text feature. Highlight the subheading above paragraph 2. Highlight the subheading. Above paragraph 2. Above paragraph 2. Olivia, what did you highlight?
Watch the water cycle.
Watch the water cycle. Okay, so our subheading is kind of like a mini title. The next paragraph in that diagram, we're going to learn about the water cycle and how it works. Okay? Okay, so in paragraph number 2, I'm going to read it first. Water is found nearly everywhere. It is in the ground we walk on and in the air we breathe. Water moves from the land to sky and back again. That journey is called the water cycle. Did you ever wonder where that glass of water comes from? Take a look. Okay, so in paragraph 2, highlight the punctuation mark that shows you the author is asking you something. Highlight the punctuation mark that shows us the author is asking us something, or asking a question. What punctuation mark is that? Mark, what did you highlight? For asking a question. What punctuation mark?
I forgot what it was called, but it's like the exciting. It's like they're just saying it really loud.
Like with expression?
Yeah.
Okay, that's an exclamation mark. What punctuation mark did the author use to ask us a question? Let's go back and look. Go back and look in that paragraph. I bet you'll find it. What punctuation mark do we use when we ask a question? What punctuation mark do we use when we ask a question? You can look. Does anyone help us out?
It's a question mark.
A question mark. Question mark. Remember, this time we're highlighting for where we have a different set of eyes this time, because we're looking at the way the author wrote this article. Some of the punctuation marks. And the last thing in that paragraph the author says is take a look and uses an exclamation mark. Why do you think the author used an exclamation mark there instead of a period? Because I liked how you explained what an exclamation mark is for. Why do you think the author used that exclamation mark there?
Because it's like, he's saying like, it's like, he thinks it's really, really cool.
I think so too, yeah. Like, take a look. Like, wow, this is really cool, take a look.
Oh, look, it's like, take a look at that.
Yeah, like that.
Take a look at that.
Okay,
This here for it.
highlight that exclamation mark too. Highlight that exclamation mark. Now let's look at our diagram.
Take a look at that teacher.
Take a look at our diagram. We've learned about diagrams before. I remember when we were looking at a diagram of some colonial clothing. And they had it labeled, right? Okay, so this diagram has the different steps in the water cycle labeled for us. What I want you to do right now is look at that diagram and find the title. Find the title and highlight the title. did you highlight?
The water cycle.
The water cycle. Very good. Now I want you to find the caption. We've learned about captions underneath a picture. Where do we usually find captions? Where do we usually find captions? Isabella?
And the bottom.
Usually underneath on the bottom of a picture, right? Okay, so that helps us when I'm telling you what to highlight right now. We remember where to look for a caption. Highlight the caption diagram. Highlight the caption. Reagan, what did you highlight?
The water cycle.
The water cycle. The water cycle. Very good. Okay, turn the page. Okay, let's look at these next couple paragraphs. What? These paragraphs look a little different than the paragraphs that we normally see. When we see a paragraph and we look for where a new paragraph starts, how do we know there's a new paragraph or when a new paragraph starts? Elena?
When there's usually a space in between them.
Usually when there's a space, when it's indented, right? These paragraphs start a little differently. What do they start with?
Numbers.
They start with numbers, don't they? Okay, so we're going to highlight what the author uses to show the first step in the water cycle. What are we going to highlight? How do we know it's the first step in the water cycle? Frankie?
Because it says 1.
Because it's number 1. So highlight number 1. Highlight what the author uses to show us the second step in the water cycle. Highlight what the author uses to show us the second step in the water cycle. And what do you think I'm going to have you highlight next? 2. Yep, so we have 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so when we're reading something and it's giving us the steps, that's going to help us determine, I see this is what happens first, then next, third, fourth. Remember I told you at the beginning that this was organized as a sequence type of article? That means it's giving us information in the order, either events in order or steps. This is steps to the water cycle. So when I see 1, 2, 3, 4, that helps me to know, this is in sequence, right? This is the sequence of the water cycle. A lot of times we look for keywords like the word first, the word second, the word third. This time we have the numerals, the numbers, instead of the words. Okay? And I see a picture on this page. Let's read the caption. Let's read the caption underneath the picture on this page. It says, turn off the faucet while brushing your teeth. Remember in that video, that short video clip we saw? That was one of the ways that we can help conserve water, protect the water. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so highlight the caption in that picture. Highlight the caption in that picture. Okay, and we're going to highlight one more thing today. I want you to highlight the subheading above paragraph 7. Highlight the subheading above paragraph 7. The subheading above paragraph 7. Good job. Warren, what did you highlight?
I put
Good.
Protect water.
Very good. Protect water. Okay, so that subheading lets us know that that paragraph, they're going to be explaining how we can protect our water, which we read about. Good.